Hey everybody. So today we're getting into 3.2 solving two-step equations. The last lesson was us focusing on one. Now we're taking a baby step and we're going to be focusing on two-step equations. So another really simple lesson. But before we get into it, I'm going to have you guys go ahead and try out a warm-up, having you solve for x on three different equations here, three different one-step equations. All right, so go ahead and try these out and see what you remember from the first lesson. Go ahead. All right, so as you guys remember, when we go to solve, we're trying to isolate the variable, get whatever numbers on that side of the equation over to the other side, and we do this by doing the opposite operation. Okay, so on letter A here, looks like to get x isolated, it's being divided by a -2, so we need to undo this by multiplying by a -2. Okay, and remember, it's not just the 2 that we're multiplying by, it's by a -2. We're getting rid of it by doing the opposite to that same number. Okay, so multiplying by 2 by both sides, these technically turn into a 1, or in other words, they cancel, and we are left with x equals, it looks like, -26. Easy enough. All right, over on letter B, same idea. We need to get rid of this -2. That's keeping x from being alone. It's on the right side of the equation, but nothing really changes. We just need to get rid of that -2 by doing the opposite, adding 2. All right, so adding 2 to both sides, easy enough. It looks like we're getting 8 equals x. And if you guys remember from, I think yesterday, or maybe I've said it before, if your variable ends up on the right, flip-flop it and put it on the left. Okay, so x equals 8. All right, on this next one here, it looks like we have this fraction that we need to get rid of, and I give you a little hint here. Use reciprocal. Okay, whenever we get rid of fractions, the easiest way to think about it is we're going to be multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction. Okay, technically, this fraction is being multiplied by x, right? So we would want to divide by that fraction. Okay, but dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to multiply this thing by a -5/4. Okay, both sides. All right, this all just turns into a 1. We get 20/20, which gives us a nice 1x. In other words, it disappears. We get x on the left. On the right here, double negative, so we're going to get a positive. 8 times 5 gives us a 40 up top. 4 on the bottom, divides evenly. X equals 10. Okay, so these fundamental skills here are still going to be used today. We just have multiple steps we're going to be doing. So it should be a pretty quick, easy one. Let's jump in. All right, so go ahead and take a minute, get this title at the top of your notes as always, and go ahead and copy these two little rules that we have here. Okay, so just kind of when in doubt, this is kind of the fundamentals of solving. First thing, deal with addition or subtraction first, then multiplication or division. Okay, whenever we're solving, deal with addition or subtraction first. Okay, next thing, do the opposite operation to get the variable x by itself, or whatever the variable happens to be. Sometimes it's y or c or whatever. Okay, but yeah, doing the opposite operation. So kind of the same stuff we were dealing with in that warm-up. Okay, let's try some out. Okay, so oh, actually, this is a practice problem. Before I have you guys try one out, let's do this one together. Okay. First thing, we have two numbers now we need to get rid of, and again, we got to do it in the correct order. Okay, and that means dealing with addition or subtraction first. One thing to really kind of think about when you're solving, technically, you can think of it as doing the order of operations in reverse. If you guys remember order of operations, PEMDAS. Okay, technically, we would go in this direction on PEMDAS when we're solving for an equation or for a variable. Okay, dealing with addition or subtraction, then multiplication or division, then exponents, then parentheses. Okay, so when in doubt, reverse PEMDAS. That's how you solve. Okay, so yeah, let's see what happens. We have this 5 that's being added. We know we need to deal with that first. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract that 5 from both sides. Okay, now we're left with the x over 2. On the right, looks like we have 6. Okay, Okay, now we can get rid of this 2 that's being divided. We'll do the opposite, and we will multiply both sides. All right, looks like x equals 12. All right, another thing to just point out, I'm not making you check your answers, but it's not a bad idea, especially when you get a nice clean number. If I plug 12 in here, 12 divided by 2 is 6. Is 6 plus 5 11? Yeah, it is, so we know we got it right. Okay, now I'm going to have you guys try a couple of these. All I'm asking on these practice problems is for you to state the first step in solving the equation. I don't need you to solve the equation. I just need you to do the very first step. Okay, try it out. Okay, so taking a look at number 1 here, this is just making sure you understand the basics here. We have these 2 numbers. Which one do we get rid of first? Well, we always deal with addition or subtraction first when solving. So it looks like our very first step is getting rid of this minus 3. So all I'm looking for is for you to say, okay, I'm adding 3 to both sides. Okay, there's the first step. And I mean, if we wanted to like actually do that step, maybe we should. We'd get a 9c equals 20. Okay, and that's all they're asking for on this problem. We'll just leave it there. Okay, same thing on number 2. What's the first step? Here's something to realize on this. We have a positive 15 and this negative in front of y. Remember, this negative is technically a negative 1. We just don't write the 1. Okay, so that negative 1, it's being multiplied. We'll deal with that second. Our first step is getting rid of this 15, and it's positive, right? So we're going to get rid of it by subtracting 15. Okay, and then if we want to go one more step, looks like we're getting negative y equals doing this subtraction. What do we get in here? 8. Okay, so yeah, pretty simple stuff. Just making sure you understand that. We could solve these if we wanted, but we're good. We're just going to do it through the direction task. Okay, so with this first example, now let's actually solve this equation. We'll check our solution. We might just do that in our head. Okay, but let's solve this. Okay, so take a second, copy this. All right, so on letter A here, nice and straightforward. 2 numbers to get rid of. We know we need to deal with addition or subtraction first. So we're going to get rid of this plus 2 by doing the opposite, subtracting 2. They're gone. We got 5y equals 15. All right, now we can get rid of the 5. It's being multiplied, so we're going to divide. Looks like y is going to equal 3. Okay, and I'm going to go through these pretty quick because this is an easy lesson. But again, we're kind of nailing down, excuse me, kind of nailing down the fundamentals here. All right, like I always say. Okay, on letter B, here's what I know. Our variable is z. It's on the right side of the equation, and we have these 2 numbers we need to get rid of. 3 is being divided, 7 is being subtracted, so we will deal with that 7 first, right? Because we deal with this addition or subtraction first. So doing the opposite, we're going to add 7 to both sides. Negative 1 plus 7 gives me a 6. On the right, these are gone, and I got z divided by 3. Okay, now we can get rid of the 3. It's being divided, so we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to multiply by that, both sides. Okay, so looks like we're getting 18 equals z, or flip it around because our variable is on the right there. Let's put it on the left. Z equals 18. Okay, and it said check your solution. Again, let's just do it in our head real quick. Let's go back to the letter A here. Plugging in 3. We're going to get 5 times 3, which is 15. Is 15 plus 2 17? Yep, we're good. Over here, if we were to plug in 18 for z, 18 divided by 3 is 6. Is 6 minus 7 negative 1? Yes, it is. Okay, so I don't mind if you check in your head. If you want to write it out, feel free. All right, let's look at a couple more of these real quick. Take a second, copy these. All right, so on letter A here, this is sort of like the practice problem I was having you do the first step on. The first thing to kind of, realize is we have a positive 10 here and a negative 1 being multiplied by b. All right, that 10, it's, technically it's being added, even though, the order is kind of flipped around. Just so you know, another way we could write this, if we just flip-flop those terms, is a negative b plus 10. That's the same thing, okay? That's a positive 10, it's being added, so we will subtract it, both sides. All right, it's gone, so now I have negative b. Don't forget the negative, it's still there, it's still connected to it, be easy to forget. We have a 9 on the right. Okay, here's the last step. Technically, this is a -1, right? So it's being multiplied. We divide both sides by -1. But you probably know there's a little shortcut. If you ever have a just a negative attached to your variable, you can change it to a positive as long as you change everything on the other side of the equation, all of its symbols. Okay, so if I'm going to change the symbol on the left, I need to change all of the symbols on the right, meaning this becomes a -9. Okay, which it's a little shortcut. Technically, we divided both sides by a -1. Okay, but I like the shortcut. Okay, letter B, same idea here. We have a -1 being multiplied by m. We have a 7 being added. We will get rid of that first. Okay, and just by the way, it's really, I think, a common mistake for people to put this negative and apply it to the 7, even though it's to the right of it. This is positive, so we're subtracting. Okay, so let's see. Sorry, I kind of shifted that. There we go. Looks like we're going to get a 3 equals -m. All right. I want this m to become positive, so that means I'm going to change this symbol on this side. I'm also going to flip-flop them. So I'm going to do 2 steps in one. I'm going to bring my positive m over here, but if I change that, I need to change the symbols on the other side. This becomes a -3. Okay, and we could always double check -3. If we plug that in, is 7 minus -310? Yeah, double negative would be a positive, right? Okay, so I'm gonna have you guys try a couple of these on your own. Go ahead. All right, so let's go through them real quick, see how you did. On number 1, dealing with the addition or subtraction first, getting rid of this -4 by adding 4. Looks like 3c equals 9. All right, that's a C. I always get sloppy when I go quick. Last step, dividing by 3, which, by the way, I always, not always, but often I like to show, divided by 3, divided by 3. If you can do that in your head, that's perfectly fine. I don't need to see every single step on these super easy problems. Okay, so it looks like C is going to equal 3. Okay, checking it real quick. We're getting a 9 minus 4. Is that 5? Yeah, we're good. Okay, moving over to number 2. We have a number being divided. We have a number being added. We'll deal with addition or subtraction first, always. Do the opposite operation. So we got a W over 5 equals 10. Okay, just be careful here. It might be tempting to divide the 5 into the 10 and get like a 2, right? Don't want to do that. Technically, it's being divided, so we are going to multiply by that number both sides. Okay, so it looks like W equals 50. Okay, just to check in real quick, 50 divided by 5 is 10, 10 plus 6, yep, 16. Okay, this next problem is having us, I guess, still solve, but combine like terms before we do. Okay, take a second to copy this. All right, so on letter A here, I notice I have multiple variables, all right? Before I can solve, I need to get this thing down to one variable, all right? But you guys know we technically have like terms here. We have a 3a and a 5a. They both have an a connected to them. That means we can combine them. So let's go ahead and do it. 3a plus 5a gives me 8a. Okay, on the right, 16. Now we can solve, it's being multiplied by 8. So divide by 8, looks like a is going to equal 2. Okay, same idea over on letter B here. We have multiple variables. They're like terms, so we can combine them. -7f plus 4f gives me a -3f. Be careful on that. Over on the left, got a 6. And I can now solve for f. It's being multiplied by -3, so I'm going to divide by -3, both sides. Okay, so looks like -2 equals f. Okay, and we can flip it around now. F equals -2. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna have you guys go ahead and try one of these on your own. Go ahead. Okay, so same idea, right? We got some like terms. We can combine them. 7x minus 4x gives us a 3x equals 21. 3 is being multiplied by x, dividing by 3. Oh, let's keep the colors consistent, right? Dividing by 3, both sides. And it looks like x equals 7. All right, so I'm zooming through these just because I'm as bored as you are, but it's a lesson we got to look at. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, last example. Let's go ahead and solve a two-step equation that has a fraction thrown in there, which is always kind of scary for some people, but we know how to deal with fractions, right? Okay, just a reminder, this fraction is technically being multiplied. Before we can get to it, we need to deal with this addition, so we'll get rid of it by subtracting. So we got a 6 equals 2 over 7n. Now we need to get rid of this fraction. Okay, remember, to get rid of fractions, we're just going to multiply by the reciprocal of those fractions. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this 2 over 7 by 7 over 2. I'm going to put it over here just because I'm out of room here. Sometimes I try to like fit it like right there. Okay, but just to keep things looking clean, I'm going to put it over here. So we're going to multiply by 7 over 2. Whatever we do to one side, got to do to the other. Okay, so those fractions are all turning into a nice invisible 1, so they cancel, we got an n. Over here looks like a 42 over 2, and it looks like we're going to get 21 equals n. I'm going to flip it around, save myself a step, n equals 21. All right, so yeah, nice, another pretty simple, quick lesson. If you are a little shaky on the solving fundamentals, hopefully you're feeling really solid. If you are feeling solid, hopefully you are ready to move on to some more interesting math, okay, which we'll get to. So yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you in class.